What if I told you that the Tower of Babel wasn't just a tall structure, but a rebellion fueled by demonic deception? The story you thought you knew is far more frightening than you can imagine. It wasn't just about building a tower. It was a direct challenge to God's authority, a plan influenced by unseen forces, forces that sought to unite mankind not in obedience, but in defiance. Today we uncover the truth behind one of the most shocking moments in history, the event that scattered nations and confused languages forever. Welcome to Bible Stories, where we uncover the hidden truths of the Bible. If you love deep biblical revelations, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and share this video with others. Stay with me as we dive into the mystery of the Tower of Babel and the dark forces that led humanity astray. After the Great Flood, humanity was given a fresh start. The earth had been cleansed of corruption, and God gave a clear command to Noah and his descendants: be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth. Genesis chapter 9, verse 7. The survivors of the flood, the sons of Noah and their children, began to spread across the land. As generations passed, their numbers grew and they journeyed together. But instead of obeying God's command to fill the earth, they chose to settle in a single place, a vast and fertile plain known as Shinar. And as they journeyed from the east, they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. Genesis chapter 11, verse 2. Among them rose a powerful leader, a man named Nimrod. The Bible describes him as a mighty hunter before the Lord. But his strength was not just in the hunt. He was a ruler, a conqueror, a builder of kingdoms. And Cush begot Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one on the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, Erech, Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar. Genesis chapter 10, verses 8 to 10. Nimrod was no ordinary man. Some ancient sources suggest he was the first king of the post-flood world, a man who sought power and dominion. But was his rise to greatness a natural progression of human civilization? Or was something darker at play? What if I told you that Nimrod's ambition was not just about ruling over men, but about challenging God himself? Stay with me as we unveil the hidden truth behind the Tower of Babel and the forces that led humanity into rebellion. Under Nimrod's rule, a new vision for humanity emerged, one that rejected God's authority. Instead of obeying the divine command to fill the earth, he united the people under a single empire. But this was not an empire built on righteousness. It was built on defiance. With a growing kingdom and an army of followers, Nimrod had a plan to make humanity independent from God. The people, swayed by his leadership, became convinced that they no longer needed to rely on the Almighty. They said to one another, "Come, let us build ourselves a city in a tower whose top is in the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered abroad over the face of the whole earth." Genesis chapter 11, verse 4. This was not just a construction project. It was a rebellion, a tower to reach the heavens, but not as an act of worship. No, this was an attempt to challenge God's dominion, to establish their own kingdom, their own authority, their own path to the divine, without him. But where did this idea come from? Ancient writings suggest that this was no ordinary tower. It was designed as a stairway to the heavens, much like the ziggurats of Babylon, structures built for spiritual power and communion with the gods. Some believe this tower was an occultic gateway, a portal to tap into forbidden knowledge and align themselves with the powers of the fallen. Could it be that Nimrod was not just a king, but a puppet of something far more frightening? That he was influenced by the same forces that once led humanity astray in the days of Noah? One thing is certain: this was not just a monument of human achievement. It was an act of war against God. But God was watching, and what he did next would change the course of history forever. Where did this rebellion originate? Was it merely human arrogance? Or was there something darker at play? This wasn't the first time mankind had defied God under the influence of unseen forces. Before the flood, a terrifying event occurred, one that corrupted humanity to its core. There were giants on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God came in to the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. Those were the mighty men who were of old, men of renown. Genesis chapter 6, verse 4. According to Scripture, the fallen angels, those who rebelled against God, descended upon the earth and took human wives. They produced a race of giants known as the Nephilim, and they taught mankind forbidden knowledge, sorcery, astrology, and the worship of false gods. Because of this corruption, God sent the great flood to cleanse the earth. But what if their influence didn't fully disappear? In Jude we read, "And the angels who did not keep their proper domain, but left their own abode, he has reserved in everlasting chains under darkness for the judgment of the great day." Jude chapter 1, verse 6. Could it be that the spirit of rebellion from the pre-flood world lived on through Nimrod and the people of Babel? That they were reviving the same wicked practices that led to God's wrath before? Ancient traditions suggest that Nimrod was not just a king, he was a god-king in the eyes of his people. He established a system of worship that opposed the true God, and many believe Babel was the birthplace of pagan religious systems, rituals that would later spread across the world. The sun worship of Egypt, the astrology of Babylon, the false gods of Canaan and beyond. Even after Babel fell, its spiritual corruption endured. Mankind continued to seek power apart from God, turning to the worship of false deities, idols, and demonic spirits. Could it be that Babel was not just a physical tower, but a spiritual gateway, a place where men sought to access forbidden realms? One thing is certain, this was more than human pride. It was a movement led by forces opposed to God himself. But as history shows, no rebellion against God can stand. What happened next would shake the very foundation of human civilization forever. The people of Babel believed they were unstoppable. Their tower rose higher and higher, their unity growing stronger, their defiance against God more open. They thought nothing could stand in their way, but they had forgotten one thing. The Most High was watching. But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower, which the sons of men had built. Genesis chapter 11, verse 5. God did not act in haste. He observed their rebellion, knowing full well where it would lead. This was more than just the construction of a city. This was an attempt to create a world without God. So the Lord spoke, "Come, let us go down," and there confuse their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. Genesis chapter 11, verse 7. And then it happened. Suddenly, voices that once spoke as one became a chaotic mixture of languages. Men and women turned to each other in confusion, their words no longer making sense. A builder called for bricks, but his workers could no longer understand. Leaders shouted commands, but their people only heard gibberish. Panic spread. Their unity was shattered. With no way to communicate, their grand plan crumbled. The construction of their tower came to a halt. The mighty empire Nimrod had sought to build fell apart in a single moment, and just as God had commanded from the very beginning, the people scattered across the earth. So the Lord scattered them abroad from there over the face of all the earth, and they ceased building the city. Genesis chapter 11, verse 8. What they feared most had come upon them. Therefore its name is called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of all the earth, and from there the Lord scattered them abroad over the face of all the earth. Genesis chapter 11, verse 9. The city of Babel, once a symbol of human ambition, became a monument of divine judgment, a reminder that no matter how powerful man believes himself to be, he cannot defy God and succeed. But was this the end of Babel's influence, or did its dark legacy continue to shape the world long after the tower fell? The Tower of Babel lay abandoned, its bricks unfinished, its people scattered. But was this truly the end of Babel's influence? Or had its spirit of rebellion only just begun? As the confused and divided people spread across the earth, new nations were born, each with its own language, culture, and destiny. When the Most High divided their inheritance to the nations, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the boundaries of the peoples according to the number of the children of Israel. Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 8. God had divided the nations, but humanity still carried the seeds of Babel's rebellion. Even though the tower was destroyed, its spiritual influence lived on. The people who once stood united in defiance of God took with them their false beliefs, their idolatry, and their corrupted desire to reach the divine without him. The spread of false religion across the world, civilizations rose, but many carried echoes of Babel. In Babylon, the city that would later become a stronghold of sorcery and idol worship. In Egypt, where pharaohs were seen as gods and the people built great monuments to their own power. In Greece and Rome, where temples were built for false deities and men claimed to be divine. Everywhere humanity went, they rebuilt the spiritual Tower of Babel in different forms, seeking power apart from God, creating religions that glorified man rather than the Creator. And what about today? Are we still building Babel? Look around our world. Do you see the same spirit of defiance? Nations that once honored God now turn away from Him. Technology that could be used for good is often used to push human pride and self-glorification. Movements that reject God's design are celebrated while His truth is silenced. The desire to build a world without God has never faded. It has only taken new forms. In Revelation, Babylon is mentioned once again, not as a city, but as a symbol of the world's final rebellion against God. Babylon the Great is fallen, and has become a dwelling place of demons, a prison for every foul spirit. Revelation chapter 18, verse 2. The question is, will history repeat itself, or will we learn from the past and turn back to the one who scattered Babel before it could bring complete destruction? The Tower of Babel wasn't just about bricks and mortar. It was about rebellion, a defiant stand against God, fueled by human pride and demonic deception. And what did we learn? Every time humanity ignores God's commands, judgment follows. Every time we try to build our own version of Babel, God reminds us who is truly in control. But here's the question. Are we still under the influence of the Tower of Babel today? Are nations, cultures, and even individuals still trying to build a world apart from God? I want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video eye-opening, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep biblical revelations. Until next time, stay strong in faith. And remember, history always repeats itself, unless we choose to learn from it.